Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Sharifa, and my poetry name is New Lily. If you're new, please check out the links located in the description box and comment section. And in both locations, you'll find an identical set of links that lead to videos that talk about what started my targeting in 2020, as well as links that lead to videos that share information about the technology utilized on targets, tactics utilized on targets, and the targeted individual program in general. Welcome back, those of you that are not new, as I said. Not gonna be a long video, y'all. I mean it this time. I know I've been saying that for the last few videos, and I've been pretty good about not letting these videos be too long, but the last two were kind of long. You know, the last one was, I think, an hour and 50 minutes, and the one before that was even longer, 4 hours. That's the longest video I've created in months. But I had a lot to document in that dream manipulation part 7 video. So I didn't just cover the dream that I had that I suspect was dream manipulation. I also covered some other things that happened around that time and what I believe led to them possibly sending me that vivid dream, you know, with the neuro monitoring technology. Anyways, y'all, for real this time, this video ain't gonna be a long one. I do want to document some things that happened today, and then I want to show you another example of shadow networking. So this is going to be my part 5 example of AI shadow networking software utilized on targeted individuals video. This is the part 5, but I'm also going to document some things that happened today before I hop into that. So they've been on it today, y'all, since earlier, all day long. Hold on a minute, y'all. Just give me a second. Somebody's coming home. Give me a minute, y'all. Let me just let this person... I know you hear the gate outside. Remember I told you guys with this recorder app, I can't pause the video, unfortunately. So just let... I think that's my mom, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just let her get in the house, and then I'm going to continue the video, y'all. Katora, go open the door. I don't have my key. I think it's in your car, actually. Did you go to the post office? Did you? Still on pause, y'all. Haven't forgotten about y'all. Just, waiting for the person in my close circle to get in the house. About what? I texted her. She told me she's not by Auntie Vera right now. I'm serious. Did you go to the post office? Okay, y'all, the person went in the house is a person in my close circle. I was just asking her if she went to the post office because I ordered a nose ring. I ended up taking out the septum piercing that I told you guys about in my recent videos. Long story short, I told you guys already, I don't remember which video I updated you guys on where I was telling you about that septum piercing that I pierced myself, but I ended up doing the piercing too low. And I was still trying to work with it because I had went through the pain in the process of doing the piercing, and I had even went through some of the healing process. I had it in for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And it was too much, man. I had ordered an earring, to switch out from the one that I had. And when I switched the earrings out, I switched it out way too soon. You're not supposed to switch out, when you're still in the healing process. But the other earring, although it was cute whenever I combed my hair, it just wasn't the look I was going for. I'm more so the kind that likes to wear the little small hoop in that piercing when I had it in the past. And so I switched out the jewelry prematurely. And because the piercing was already too low and not healed, not even nowhere near healed, what it ended up doing was tearing and falling even lower, the piercing. And so I was just terrified. I didn't want to tear through the bottom of my nose. So I took it out and I let it heal. And I ended up just putting an earring in my old nose piercing that's still open. The piercing that's in the regular location, that regular part where you get your nose pierced. I have that pierced as well. And that's never closed up on me. I've had that since high school. So I just decided to put a hoop in that, and I ordered another hoop, one that will fit more snug. And so this is why I was asking that person in my close circle if they stopped at the post office, because that jewelry is supposed to be here now. Anyway, y'all, going off on a tangent, man. Let's get to it. I told y'all this is not supposed to be a long video. So anyway, like I was saying, they've been on it all day today, it's just been like the same thing I talked about in the last video, just the constant sending me stupidness via the shadow networking, what I'm about to show you an example of in a little bit, right? And then having the external gang stalkers making noises, while they stare at you and make you feel uncomfortable. It's already programming and sensitization, them constantly sending certain stimuli to you via the shadow networking, right? I've already explained how the shadow networking works. So please don't start here if you're new to my channel. I don't want to repetitively have to go through the process of explaining what shadow networking is. This video is just me showing you another example. As you can hear, it's part 5. So please don't start here. First of all, I've created 2 videos where I just covered the topic of shadow networking in general. And you can see that in the description box and comment section. Those are some of the videos included in those locations. It's titled Pertinent Information About the Targeted Individual. Program, I think is what it's called. And I'm in a burgundy shirt, right? In the thumbnail of both of those videos. There's a part 1 and part 2. Where I clearly explain what shadow networking is. And then I show you examples in those videos. And then I went and I created 4 other videos titled Example of AI Shadow Networking Software Utilized on Targeted Individuals, where I showed you examples of them using this technology and how it looks when they use it, right? My part 3, I was showing you them using it on another target. And then the other videos, I was showing you them using it on me. So this part 5 video is going to be me showing you another example of how they use it, busting down that specific thing that they've been sending me a lot recently, but also, again, just documenting some of the things that happened earlier. So anyways, in this moment here where they were just harassing me with the noise campaigns earlier, they hadn't sent me anything in particular. There was a little shadow networking in that movie I watched earlier, but I don't know that it was shadow networking and them changing things like how they do sometimes, or if it's just that they've sensitized me to so many very common words that anything that I watch now contains those words in it. Because this was a big movie that was just in the movie theaters. The movie Abigail? I'm sure y'all have heard about it. With the little girl that's the ballerina, and apparently she was really a vampire. I was watching that earlier on Los Movies. That was just in the movie theaters right here on Island, right? So I know that had to have been in the movies up there. That was a recent movie. So that's why I suspect that, that's just coincidental. Like, it's just the fact that they've sensitized me to such common words. That's why it's such a comprehensive program, y'all. They slowly but surely start to sensitize you to everyday conversation, everyday words, everyday items, everyday things, so that you start feeling tormented about everything, basically. They're very good at what they do. Anyway, so I was watching the movie Abigail earlier, and already it's sensitization because there's a child involved. I already told you what they do, and the spiteful vigilante punishment that's going on here for bearing false witness, and the obscene, disgusting, vile thing that was created from me sending the text message. How they kind of try to do strange things with children and insinuate weird, creepy stuff. So I'm completely sensitized to children right now. I'm totally traumatized, PTSD. It's all day long, 24/7, them sending me weird, creepy stuff about children, making noises, creating, this false narrative, spitefully. So I'm completely traumatized, right? And I explained to y'all in that last video how the shadow networking, in combination with being stared at 24/7 by everyone, creates these anxious reactions out of me. And how I've gotten so much better at not having those reactions. Last year was way worse, man. I've gotten so much better, and it's because of these videos. These videos have been therapeutic for me. But I still have moments where the weird look comes on my face. I still have moments where I'm breathing funny. It still happens. As long as these cameras are on me, it's going to happen, right? But it doesn't happen nowhere near as much as it used to. Especially not the breathing funny. Now it's more so just getting maybe an awkward look on my face, or getting bassity. And bassity, remember I keep telling you, I've told you on several videos, that word is an island word. It's like island slang, and it's synonymous with flustered. Like you're getting flustered, that kind of way. That's what happens to me often when they're doing what they're doing as far as sensitizing me to certain things. Please check out my last video, y'all, because it really correlates with this one, with me just giving y'all the history of having anxiety the fact that I've had it since high school, and how this program can be taxing on anyone's psyche and can cause an anxious reaction out of the most calm person, much less somebody that has a history of anxiety. But anyways, so they were on it since earlier. I was literally laying there on my back. I've told you already that these videos are therapeutic for me. So I haven't been having the awkward reaction as much as before, but I still do. They sensitize me to race. I told you this already. Whenever white people come on the screen, which is all the damn time, because we live in a diverse country and a diverse world. So every movie and show you watch is going to have all different races. So often there are white people on my screen. I'm not going to turn it off every time I see a white person. That's stupid. Just because I shared some offensive stuff out of anger in my car in Florida. I've already apologized, and now I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to let them continue to sensitize me to that race. But that's what they're doing. Like, every time white people come on the screen, they're making noises and trying to make me feel uncomfortable. And so I get that stupid look on my face. Or children. When children come on the screen, they're trying to make me feel uncomfortable. I get that weird look on my face. Or females in general. I already told you it doesn't even matter what kind of female. The female can be disabled. She can be old, young, fat, skinny, attractive, unattractive. It doesn't matter. I'm so completely sensitive to females now. Anyway, so earlier I was watching Abigail and I was just laying on my back, was not having a reaction. I was actually chilling. I told you already, these videos have been helping. And so the little girl is on the screen doing whatever, right? She's having a moment where she turned into the vampire and she was on top of the guy, one of the guys, she was about to bite him or whatever. And so I'm watching it. I noticed the rooster drone starts going off. I wasn't acting awkward. I always know when it happens. It wasn't happening. I didn't have the awkward look on my face. And I know they remember this earlier too. I wasn't breathing funny, nothing like that. Just laying on my back. I was watching like, this is crazy. This is wild. And they start doing the rooster drone, right? I hear the rooster drone going, woo, 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 at such a creepy moment too when she's on top of him. Now she's on top of him because she's about to suck his blood, right? It's a movie. But the point is, why start making the noises just then? This is the creepy type of stuff they try to sensitize me to, right? So that's happening. They're going, woo, woo, with the rooster drone. And then I'm hearing somebody turning up their music. There's always somebody on deck outside staring at me, ready to turn up their music. So then I hear them turning up the music. I'm like, I purposely pointed it out. I literally paused the show and I said, you see what y'all do? I said, this is just what I was talking about in my last video. I said, I don't even have to act awkward to the thing that you're sensitizing me to. Even if I'm laying here acting normal, you purposefully start making noises to start making me feel uncomfortable about that specific stimuli that you're trying to sensitize me to. I literally pointed it out. I'm going to do it every time too, because they're not going to gaslight me when they're continuously programming my brain, right? Creating these PTSD type trauma type responses. And then when I have those responses, because you continuously keep sensitizing me to these things, then you gaslight me and try to paint whatever narrative you're trying to paint out of spite. So I purposely pointed it out earlier. I was like, full well I was laying here not having any reaction. Look at what you're doing. I pointed it out, right? So anyways, that's what it was, it's just, and after that moment, I started to feel really awkward now about what was on my screen. This is how it always happens. So I turned over on my side and I started laying on my side. Now, a little while prior to that moment, I had texted my older sister because she called me yesterday. My great aunt that's from Trinidad is up in Florida right now. I told you guys already that my grandfather just recently passed away. And so all the family's up there. His funeral just happened a couple days ago. Excuse me. So all of my family is up there. A lot of them have left now, but some of them are still there. And so some of my... Yes? Yay! I'm coming. Yes, give me a minute. Thank you. My mom's calling me because she went to the post office. I'm so happy. Let me just try to hurry up and finish this. So some of my family is still up there. And so my sister was just calling because my great aunt wanted to speak to me. I haven't spoken to her in forever. She's like another grandma. That's my grandma's sister, my grandma that passed. And so I just haven't talked to her in a while, and I didn't feel like in that moment talking to her because that was a moment where when she called yesterday, I'm hopping all over the place. I got Bassity out when the door got knocked on. So I told you a few moments prior to what they were doing when the movie Abigail was playing and the little girl was about to bite the man's neck and they started making noises to make me uncomfortable. A few moments prior to that, I had texted my sister asking her if my aunt was around. And the reason being is because yesterday it was in the evening time when more people are off from work and I feel like more people are staring at me. My sister tried to call me, my older sister, yesterday evening, right? And so I texted her before I even knew she was calling with my aunt. Before she even told me that, I texted her and I said, hey, I said, let me call you back later. Because I knew at that time more people were home. You have to understand, there's always people watching me. I think people even be at work watching me. Like, this thing is so fascinating. I already told you I feel like the island freak show, right? But when people are at work, more people during the daytime, it feels less invasive. It feels like less eyes are on me, even though I know there are a lot of eyes still on me all the time, right? Evening times, nighttime, that's when people are off from work. More people are home. I'm sure they're checking in like the daily news, watching me, like the island freak show. And so it's just like, I don't feel like these conversations with anyone really, where I'm being stared at and I'm having to try and have like a normal conversation like a regular person when I'm anything but, especially not with that person in particular. I've already explained to you, I don't want to talk about the people in my close circle in these videos. I try very hard not to. But the whole text message thing they created from the text I sent, remember I told you I was staying in the room with 2 nieces when I sent the text message. Those 2 nieces are the children of my older sister. So I've been completely sensitized to her. They've sensitized me to a lot of relationships. I told you my father, my mother, my older sister, my younger sister, they have different ways that they've sensitized me to different people in my close circle. And so specifically with her, of course, that's what the obscene thing that they created from the text has everything to do with her children. So I feel very awkward talking to her. And it's even this thing where she's wondering why I'm not calling. And I'm like, you know me better than anyone. You should know why I'm not calling. I'm anxious, first of all. She knows more better than anyone. She was taking me, I told you in the last video, how she was the one that was taking me to the hospital when we lived together in Tallahassee. So I'm like, I'm an anxious person. You've known me my whole life. And you know what's going on. All these people are watching me. And particularly with you, when you call, they're ready to make noises. Even if I'm sitting there talking to her and I'm not having an anxious reaction, they're making noises trying to create the anxious reaction. Like, they be trying so hard. So it's like I just avoid calling and talking to her. It just doesn't feel the same. I used to call her all the time. I used to call my nieces and my nephews all the time. It's just like, it's weird now. It's just this weird thing. Like, I can't even really explain it. Anyway, so yesterday when she tried to call me, it was evening time. So everybody's off from work and I just, island freak show, poppy show type thing. I'm like, I don't want this conversation right now. Like, before she even told me my aunt was the one that was calling. And so then she texted me, hey, I'm with Auntie so-and-so. And so I said, oh man, because I know she's going to want to talk to me. I haven't talked to her in a long time. And I'm thinking too, it's like, I just know she's going to be trying to catch up with me. She's elderly too. So even if she's privy to the situation, which I'm sure she is, she's still going to just be like an older elderly relative that's asking you what's going on with your life now. Are you married? Are you this? Are you that? The same stuff she always asks, And I'm just like, ugh, everybody's staring at me. I have a lot of weird stuff going on right now. Like, I don't even know how to navigate this conversation, but I do want to have the conversation with her. And it's always reminiscent of talking to my grandma that's no longer alive when I talk to her. So I do want to talk to her. It's just like the angst of everyone staring at me. I was just like, okay, let me wait till today when people are at work. So today I did text my sister. I said, hey, are you with Auntie so-and-so? She didn't answer me right away, right? So I continued to watch the movie Abigail. We get to that weird, creepy scene where the little girl is turning into the vampire and she's on top of the man about to suck his blood. They start doing the weird noises and stuff. So I, again, pointed out, like I said, I pointed out to them, you see what you do? You see how you program and sensitize me and create these reactions out of me? Right? I said that. And then I looked at making the noises again now that I'm talking about it. They're so spiteful. So anyways, after I said that, I turned on my side and I continued watching the show, but now I'm feeling awkward because of what they had just done, especially at that scene in particular. So I'm laying on my side and the twitching thing that I talked about on one of my prior videos started happening to me. Let me go to the video where I talked about it, y'all. I talked about it in several videos, actually. I talked about it in documenting new game stalking tactics. I talked about it in that video. And I also talked about it in my part 2 targeted individual deprogramming and process video. You can see it there on the screen. And I've talked about it in other videos too, but those are the 2 that stick out to me that I can recall where I talked about this weird twitching thing that happens to me with my body from being stared at. It's an anxious neurological response, right? Where I feel like I can feel their eyes on me. And although it's not a physical thing, it's something that's intangible. it feels physical. It's like you can actually feel their eyes on you, right? And it's such a horrible, creepy feeling. And so it's like you start to just feel like you're twitching. Like, I can't explain. You just feel uncomfortable. Like, constantly in this bed, I'm like navigating through twitching. It doesn't even have to be that there's stimuli on the screen. This is a constant thing with me. Even at work when I'm in my car, it starts happening to me sometimes. It happens at random. And so I'll just start to feel like my body's doing this twitching thing, and it's really hard for me to control it. It's like, it's almost like writhing in your seat with discomfort, and they enjoy that too. And they try to create that reaction out of me often. So anyways, that's what started happening after they did the noise campaign for that weird, creepy scene. So I turned on my side, when I felt it happening, and I just try to lock myself up whenever it's happening, right? So it was happening, and I'm just continuing to watch the show and just feeling uncomfortable, right? I'm violated. That's what it feels like. And so I'm just watching the screen, watching the show or whatever, and I decide to pause it and go and eat one of my protein meals, because remember, I'm bodybuilding, y'all. By the way, I'm squatting 300. I don't know if I told you guys this already. And I think I did. I think I told you guys this in one of my prior videos. No, I told you guys that I did 270, and that I felt so confident that I had more in me that I would try next time to do 300. Well, yesterday, y'all, I squatted 300 pounds 5 times. I did it. So I'm squatting 300 now. I feel really good about myself. Despite all the craziness that's happening to me, I'm getting better and better and stronger and stronger. And I'm gaining weight too. I'm 175 now. Anyway, that's so random. I know, guys. I just remembered that. Why did I remember that? Oh, yeah, because I was telling you I paused the video to get up and eat one of my protein meals. So as soon as I hit pause, then that's when my sister answers my text message. You know how they do this thing where they're watching you, all of them, and they'll like answer a text right as you are about to get up and do something? Or I told you this happens sometimes, like even when I call a business in the mainland. This was really happening to me more last year than it is this year. It was more so hardcore last year. They were doing this nonsense to me, but it still happens now a little bit, where like I'm on the phone with a corporation. I can tell they're privy to the targeting and they're privy to these cameras that are on me, and they'll do this thing like they'll put me on hold, and so I'll be there having the same twitching thing happening, because I know they're staring at me. I've dealt with it enough times, and so I'm laying in the bed twitching and trying to lock up myself and not be twitching, because I know I'm being stared at, and I know what's coming, because they've again done it to me several times. They were doing it to me a lot last year, and so I'll just eventually get tired of laying there and twitching and waiting for them, and so I'll sit up to go outside, and then the person will come back on the phone and say, "Hey, I'm back," like low mind games like that. And so I'm not trying to accuse anyone, and I don't want to bear false witness. But I've already told you that's also too, I've said this in prior videos, why I avoid calling my older sister, because several times that's happened before where I'm on the phone with her. She's not necessarily doing that, like what those people on those call centers do. But we're talking, and I can tell that I'm being watched while we're talking. I can't explain it. It's happened several times where I can tell she's watching me, because she's not a good actor. Like, I know my sister very well, like, just like how she should know me. And when we're talking, sometimes, like, if I have a twitch or an anxious moment because they're making noises outside, I'll hear her voice start to, there'd be, like, the stutter, or, like, her voice will start to, like, hesitate. I can't explain it. I just know. I'm very intuitive. And so that's also, too, what makes me avoid the phone calls. Like, it's uncomfortable. Who would want to go through that? So anyways, she sent the text right as I hit pause. So that really set me off. I got pissed. And I was like, I really need to make a video. I don't even know if it was just a coincidence. I'm just so sensitized to them doing this to me, or if she literally did that just then. But I was just really irritated when that happened. And it was just like, it created this thing in me where I wanted to make the video. I was like, nah, I need to make this video, because I already needed to make the shadow networking video. And then they did that thing in that moment with that Abigail movie, to create the awkward reaction when I was laying there comfortably, and they know full well I was before they did what they did. And then I turn on my side and I'm twitching, and then all of a sudden this thing from my sister, right? That thing happens where I pause the video, and then she sends a text just then, right? So it irks me and it angers me to no end, especially if you haven't done something and you're being treated like you did. It makes you want to just chop every fucking thing down and burn everything down. But that's how the program's designed, just so you know. It's meant to create this villainous, monstrous type of, disposition. It's meant to vilify a person, and it's meant to make a person go over the edge, either in the sense where you go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right, and end up in the mental asylum, or you do something in reaction to what's happening to you, and then you get locked in the clinker. That's what it's set to do, the program. And so you have to be mentally strong, and you have to navigate through these tactics that are utilized on you. Anyway, especially since I know it's spiteful retribution. I know what these people are doing. I know. And I'm not just saying these people, like talking about the people in my close circle. I'm talking about even the outside people that are involved, the external people more so, like, because they're really on it, because there's no relativity there. They're not related to me, so there's no love there at all. It's just straight, like, this kind of thing from them. It's just really terrible. Anyway, so that happened earlier. So I was already sensitized from earlier, and them just doing the stupid shit they do all day long, programming my brain, and then gaslighting me when I act a certain way to the stimuli that they've programmed me to, right? Remember what I said in the last video when I was telling you all about the grocery store and my reaction to the cashier, and how, this is why I avoid going into certain grocery stores after school, because I don't want to see any of my students. And I told you guys that I had went in one time after jogging. I forgot what time it was, and I went into the grocery store to get protein powder, and 2 of my students were cashiers, and they walked up to me and started talking to me, and they're just acting like curious young kids, that even though I'm sure they're familiar with what's happening with me, I'm still Miss Nurse. So they're just asking me about my protein powder, and they're asking me about my creatine, and, just being curious, and how they always have been, and before what's happening now, before I got sensitized to females and children and all of that, what's happening now, before that happened to me, I used to hug my students. When I was in school, they used to run up to me. This was in 2022, before I tried to relocate off the island. They used to run up to me in the hallways, Miss Nurse, when I wasn't in class. I'm walking to my car for break or whatever's happening, running up to me and giving me a hug. I'm hugging them back. I'm not shaking. I'm not having these weird, creepy reactions that's happening now from PTSD and trauma, that they like to gaslight me about. But it's crazy, it's crazy what's happening. It's like this whole new thing, this whole new me now, where I'm having this weird reaction to certain things that I didn't react that way towards before. Similar to, let me give you an example, the Spanish girl thing. Remember, I talked about that in the last video as well, how they've spitefully sensitized me to Spanish women. Check out the last video to hear the details. I don't want to talk about that thing again. But I didn't have a reaction to Spanish women before. Now I do. They're so good at what they do. They can program you and sensitize you to certain stimuli and have you reacting towards that stimuli when you didn't act that way towards it before. It's so irritating and terrible what they do, right? I guess he felt like it wasn't loud enough where he was at, so he moved over on this side. Let me, yeah, I know you hear the grass cutting now. Let me try to move to the end of my bed, y'all, so it doesn't interfere with my video. Especially whenever I start making sense. You know how it is. I told y'all what just happened. Anyway, so let me explain what happened here now. A little while ago, before I get to talking about the shadow networking stupidness that they keep sending me, the other false narrative that I have a problem with law enforcement, I'm some entitled, stuck-up bitty. Before I get to that, right? So now fast forward past what happened earlier, right? A little while ago, I went to ride my bike, and I do that every Tuesday. Y'all, it might end up moving to... Let me see what I'm gonna do. Hold on a second. I don't come in my parents' room, but you have to know I'm desperate to make this video if I'm in here. I'm trying to hurry up too. But the neighbor moved over to the whole other yard to cut and make noise right by my window, right? So I had to move to this room. So let me hurry up and try to finish this video though, y'all, because I try not to be in my parents' room with all the weird stuff that's happening now. So anyways, what was I saying? So fast forward past what happened earlier, where they were programming me and sensitizing me all day to whatever stimuli they were sensitizing me to. Now today, a little while ago, I went to go ride my bike. It's summertime now, so it's extra hot. The sun is out, all this extra stuff that's happening now, that's making it difficult for me to work out. Even on my jog on Sunday, like I actually hit all my checkpoints. It's not that I couldn't hit my checkpoints. I felt like I was going to pass out, but I hit all my checkpoints. But it's so hot. It's like heat stroke level. I was so hot. I had to literally stop. I don't stop. I stop I have checkpoints, and then I have moments where I walk and I catch my breath. But I totally stopped. Like when I reached my checkpoint, it was time for me to start running again. There was 2 moments where I literally had to stop in the shade and just catch myself because it's so hot now. It's summertime. Then when I got to the basketball court, remember I told y'all last time I was stunting on them and I kept making shots and acting cocky because they put a big bottle of liquor in the middle of the court, more sensitization. This time here, last Sunday, I was struggling, boy. I was making shots. I made some shots, but nowhere near as good as last time. I could barely lift my arm. I was so hot. It was like I was going to pass out on the court, but I still forced myself to stay out there for the amount of time that I allot for myself to stay out there. And I stayed and I shot and I made some shots, and I left. But anyway, so I just want you to understand how hot it is. So this is why I didn't go and ride the bike earlier. Instead of riding, remember I showed you guys my workout schedule in one of these recent videos. I don't remember which one. I weightlift on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I ride my bike every other Tuesday. So some Tuesdays are rest days, and then the following Tuesday will be a bike ride day. I rest on Thursday, I rest on Saturday, And on Sunday, I go for a 20-minute jog, and then I go play basketball. I shoot hoops on the court for 30 minutes. So this Tuesday was an on Tuesday. This was a bike ride Tuesday. And I have a route that I like to ride to. But because the weather is so bad, and when I say bad, I just mean hot, like extreme heat, y'all. I can't even explain it. Remember, I'm in the islands. I have changed the timing of my schedule. You know, typically with the bike ride days, I like to go earlier in the day while everyone's at work. It's so damn hot. I knew if I tried to ride my bike in this heat, I might not make it up that hill. Like, there's this really steep hill that I ride up, and I force myself to ride the whole route without stopping. And it's really hard. It's cardio, but it's also like it's almost anaerobic in a way too, because it's like you're having to push the pedals and push the gears and get your body and your weight and the bike up the hill. So in a way, it's almost like weightlifting in a sense too. It's kind of like anaerobic mixed. So it's a really intense workout. So I know if I go in the daytime, like what with this heat the way it is now, I know if I tried to go earlier, like I probably would have ended up stopping on that hill and not doing my goal of making it all the way without stopping. Yes? Yes, I'm coming. Let me hurry up with this, y'all, because I'm actually in my mom's room and I'm not supposed to be in here. So let me just hurry up. I want to just quickly break down something real quick. I almost want to do a part 2 video, y'all, because of the annoying grass cutting and all this other stuff. But I just showed y'all my screen, 2 videos on my screen. And remember I told y'all when I merge clips, then it makes the screen black out. So I'm trying to hurry up now. I'm feeling awkward too. They always make me feel awkward about everything. Anyway, so what was I saying? So I'm with the bike riding. I changed the timing. So I went at 4:30. You can see it's 6:35 now. So that was 2 hours ago I went and I rode my bike, right? So I rode my bike, right? I rode my bike all the way, made it up the hill or whatever. It was still freaking hot as hell and humid, but not like the kind of hot that it would have been had I went earlier, the time I normally go. So I rode it. I made it all the way up the hill to the neighborhood I ride to. And then I coasted down. That's my favorite part of the ride, when I'm coasting down. Of course, I'm not pushing. I'm not having to go up, and fight against the gravity and stuff. So I rode down and I got back into my neighborhood, rode up the hill. There's this last stretch when I get back to my neighborhood, this hill, this little short, steep hill. It's like a little burst of a hill that I have to ride up. And that's the last hard part of my route, right? My bike ride route. And typically when I do that, at that point, my muscles are fatigued and I have to force myself up that hill when I get back to my neighborhood. And typically my legs are on fire. But remember, I told you I'm going even heavier now. I literally squatted 300 pounds 5 times yesterday. I do 40 squats when I go to the gym. In addition to a lot of other workouts. I do lunges with 80 pounds. A lot of other stuff. I do cable kickbacks. A lot of stuff, right? But adductor workouts, etc., etc. I do a lot of stuff. Sumo squats with a dumbbell, blah, blah, blah. But with the barbell, those kind of squats, I do 40. I do 20 with the Smith machine, and then I do 20 with a different squat machine. That's a little bit more stable, so it's easier for me to go heavier. I already broke that down for you in one of my recent videos. The Smith machine, I can only go to 200 right now because it requires balance. And going heavier, it's like I don't have the balance and strength to do that yet, to go heavier. With the other squat machine, although it's the same muscle recruitment and it's the same weight, because of the stability of that machine and me not having to use my balance and just having to use my strength alone, I can go heavier. I'm at 300 on the other squat machine. And so understand that I'm squatting the Smith machine, right? I'm squatting 20 squats over there. I'm doing 90 pounds, 135, and then I go all the way up to 200, 20 squats over there. And then when I get to the other squat machine, I'm doing 10 squats at 200 pounds. I'm doing 5 squats at 270 pounds and then 5 squats at 300 pounds. So I'm really going ham on myself now. It's just, that's how you are. You have to, it's like progressive overload. I already talked about this in one of my prior videos where you just keep progressively getting heavier and heavier and not really giving your muscles a chance to, you want to give them a chance to recuperate, obviously, but not giving them really a chance to get too accustomed or too comfortable in the weight that you're in. Like immediately go to something else so they're constantly being forced to grow. That's kind of what it is and what I'm doing, and it's been working for me. So anyways, I'm going heavier now. And so the bike ride today was difficult. Like it was more difficult than typical. So when I reached that last burst, when I got back to my neighborhood and that little hill, that short hill I told you guys that's really steep, that typically burns my legs anyway. My legs are like ready to tap out. How I'm going to the gym, right? So I got up the hill and my legs were on fire. It was reminiscent of, I told you guys in a recent video, I don't remember which one it was, that I took a week off from the gym. And then when I went back, I tried to squat the normal weight that I normally squat. And I told you guys my legs started to lock up on me and it was so bad I had to go home. what happened to me when I went up that last burst of hill there in the neighborhood was similar or reminiscent of what happened to me that time when I took the week off. Like my legs were on fire, and it felt like they weren't calming down. And it felt like my legs were locking out on me. So I reached a corner, right? I went to turn around the corner and there was this little dip in the road that I didn't see. And my legs were already kind of feeling like they were locking up on me. And I slipped into the dip and I almost fell on my ass. But prior to that moment, right before that happened, this is why I said my luck ain't shit. Right before that happened, remember I have a playlist that I'm listening to, right? So I'm listening to music on my phone. So this song for Shantae Moore, I don't know if y'all are familiar with her. Maybe if you're a millennial like me, you may have grown up listening to her. If your mother was into that type of music. Shantae Moore is a singer from back in the 90s. I almost want to say early 2000s, around that time. Back in the good days, right? When music was music. That's my opinion. That's just subjective. But when R&B was really R&B. So she has a lot of good songs and I grew up listening to her. And so one of her most common songs is a song called Shantae's God. I can't sing. I told you guys this already. I write poetry. I'm not even really a rapper like that, but I do have a cadence. I cannot sing. I can carry a tune sometimes. I cannot sing. So that's just a disclaimer, but I'm just like saying that line, the main chorus to you guys. The song goes, Shantae's got a man at home. So she's just singing about the fact that in the song, talking to girls that have been through it with men that feel like there are no good men out there. And she apparently has a good man at home. So she's just talking about the fact that, girl, that's what you're thinking about men is not true. You just had bad experiences. So basically her experience has been different now that she found a good man and she has a good man at home. And so that's what that song is about. Her basically just singing about the good man that she has at home, right? I think the song is actually called Shantae's Got a Man at Home, if I'm not mistaken. Just look up Shantae Moore and type in, if you want to hear it, type in Shantae's Got a Man and it's going to pop up, right? So I'm listening to that. I've listened to it numerous times. I told y'all, because it sensitized me to so many things, it's weird. Like sometimes I can hear the stimuli that they've sensitized me to and not act awkward, not have a reaction at all. And then other times I'll hear the same stimuli and I'll have a reaction. And it's just how it works. They're staring at you 24/7. They're judging you. They're looking for stuff. They're creating stuff constantly. They're programming your brain, making noises, making you feel anxious about everything on purpose. And then will gaslight you when you have a reaction and you act freaking sensitized to what they're sensitizing you to. So anyways, in the song, right, this was shortly before I had that moment where I almost fell. Now, mind you, my legs were already locking out on me. And I know they saw this too, because when I went up that last burst of hill, my face had a painful expression because my legs were on fire. And this dog on the right started barking and going crazy. I don't know if the owner made the dog start barking or if it was a coincidence. But before, when I went up that hill in the past, I never heard a dog barking. So I don't know if somebody was, I told you they do that sometimes. They'll rile up the dog and make the dog start barking here in this neighborhood. So I don't know if because, it was so painful for me to get up the hill. I made it, but it was painful and I had this expression of pain on my face. I don't know if the neighbor riled up the dog and made it start barking, but I noticed the dog was barking. I didn't care. I was just glad I made it up the hill. But I had this painful expression the whole time before I got to that corner and almost fell on my ass because my legs were burning and locking up on me. So anyways, I was sitting there in pain and I'm listening to the music, like I do as I ride. And she got to the part of the song, mind you, I've been listening to this song for the last 2 weeks, right? Even in the gym and not having a reaction. In this moment, I did. So I'm listening to her talking about, girl, I don't remember exactly verbatim what she said, but she was to the part where she was talking about how the girl felt like there were no good men out there. And she said, that's not the truth, girl. Basically telling her that you thinking that there's no good men out there, that's not true. Like I have a different experience. Let me tell you about it, basically. So when she got to the point where she said, that's not the truth, girl, my face got the awkward reaction. I was already sitting there with my legs locking out on me. I'm hearing the dog barking to the right of me. And then I hear her say, that's not the truth, girl. And I already dealt with that thing earlier that I told you happened earlier where they made the weird noises about the little girl being on top of the man when she was really in vampire mode. You know how they are creepy. And now I think I'm a bitch for saying that, but it's creepy what they're doing. And then I turned on my side and I started having that anxious reaction, PTSD trauma response that happens to me when they do what they do. And then I paused the video to get up and then I get the text message from my sister. So all of that is programming and sensitization and more adding to the trauma, right? And sensitizing me. And constantly they're sending me stuff about lying, about people being dishonest, constantly programming lie into my head like I'm a liar when they know I'm anything but a liar. That's why I keep getting in problems because I'm so honest. Anyway, so when she said, that's not the truth, girl, I'm sitting there already feeling like I'm on display, like a freak show, right? When I ride my bike in the neighborhood, I can feel everyone watching me. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's like those Western movies, you know, where everybody's in the saloon watching as they're about to have a fight in the middle of the road, and you see the little tumbleweed go across, and they're about to have like I guess a shootout or whatever, and everybody's in the saloon watching. That's what it feels like. That's reminiscent of what it feels like when I'm riding my bike through the neighborhood. But I play it off and I do what I do, right? So I'm already feeling like they're all watching me. I just had a moment where I barely made the hill. My legs are locking out on me. I heard one of the dogs start barking to the right of me. And then I get to this corner and I'm listening to the song and that's not the truth, girl. You know, I had a reaction. My face got awkward. I got the awkward look on my face. And then I went to turn the corner right as that happens. And I dip into a pothole. Now, typically I'm such a good bike rider. I'm not saying that in a cocky way. But I've been riding my bike my whole life, and I'm athletic. I can usually just get through the dips like it's nothing, but my leg was locking up on me. So I went into the dip, and I couldn't even really, I almost wasn't able to maneuver the way I typically do. And so I almost fell on my ass. And so I caught myself. I didn't fall, but that whole moment just created this really awkward reaction out of me. Like the whole ride back, I was awkward, right? And they do this weird thing, right? It's weird. They do it on purpose. They'll sensitize you to stuff, right? Like you won't be having a reaction. That's when they like to make the noises and create the awkward reaction, right? And sensitize and program you. Then when you do finally have an awkward reaction to the thing they've been programming and stuffing in your brain 24/7, they go silent. It's this weird, creepy thing they do. They'll go silent. You're so used to them making noises and stuff. All of them silent. They will be silent. And so they leave you to ruin the awkward moment that just happened, the awkward reaction that you know they saw. They leave you to stew in it. And they stay quiet. And so you're like, you start to feel the silence. I can't explain it to you. And so all as I'm going inside, I'm feeling weird. They're quiet, not a sound, which is unusual. They're always making noises. They do this all the time, right? They'll make the noises when I'm not reacting to create the PTSD and the trauma. And then when I finally react to what they've been sensitizing me to, they're quiet. So they leave you to ruin, stew in the awkward moment that just happened that you know they're watching. It's this weird thing. It's a very comprehensive program, y'all. So anyways, going into the house and I'm feeling weird and awkward and I'm here trying to catch myself. And I told you already, when that awkward reaction happens to me, it's like I can't catch myself because I know they're staring at me. And so I'm trying to recover and it's hard and it's hard and it's hard. So when I go in the bathroom and I'm washing my uniform, I'm calling it a uniform, it's my workout clothes. I actually need to wash all my clothes. All my workout clothes are dirty right now. So I was washing what I rode my bike in. And as I'm washing it, I'm still feeling weird, man. I'm still feeling weird and I'm irritated. But I'm washing and I'm still just ignoring them. Something happened. I forgot what it was. What happened? Something played on my phone because of a thought I had. Oh, when I finished washing my workout clothes and I'm still trying to recover from the awkward moment, I thought to myself, I need to go out there and hang this up. I was in my towel at the time because I had taken off the workout outfit. I was washing it and I was about to take a shower. I was sweaty, right? I had just rode my bike. So I said, I need to hang this clothes up on the line in the back. I may as well just go out on my towel. I thought this. Remember, my thoughts are being projected. They're listening to my thoughts. I said, I may as well just go out there on my towel. They're watching me anyways. This is what I thought in my head. All of a sudden, the silence breaks. They turn on something on my phone. I don't know how they did it. Remember, my phone is hacked. Somehow they made the music, the playlist on my phone start playing. I hear 50 Cent's 21 Questions from my playlist start playing. I'm like, how'd they do that? And then I hear them now, the silence broke and they start making noises outside. I said, what? I got something for their ass. I thought that's where Monster Bitch starts to surface when I get pissed with what they do. So then in my head, I thought to myself, I got something for the ass. As I'm going to make a video in a second. And I went to hang up my stuff. All of a sudden, they're making noises again. This is what they do. It's psychological warfare, man. So anyways, I still want to document that stuff and talk about it. The gaslighting and the bullshit that they do and sensitize you and then want to gaslight you when you have a reaction to what they've been sensitizing you to and then staring at you and creating these PTSD trauma type responses. Anyway, what this video is actually about. I'm trying to hurry up. Remember, I told you it's going to be a short video. I hope I don't listen back to this and hear like I'm talking super fast and sounding sporadic because I'm trying to rush through, y'all. I told y'all it's going to be a short video. But also I'm sitting in my parents' room and I feel uncomfortable. It's not like how it used to be. And, weird stuff with them making noises outside and stuff. Every time I come in here, I'm just trying to hurry up and get through it. It might sound like I'm racing through the video and I'm not meaning to. Anyway, I need to blow my nose, y'all. I'm sorry. Now let me show y'all what the video's really about. I just want to document that. Y'all see this? Look at my history. Do you see what the thumbnail? This is the type of shit they send me and the false, listen to the bird outside. This is the false narrative they like to paint. Like I'm some sort of rabid, crazy, monstrous bitch type female. Look at the thumbnail of this lady. Do you see how her face looks like a rabid something or the other, right? It says, I'm going to snap. You see what they have in yellow? And it says, entitled woman speeding to work. Mind you, they keep sending me these entitled videos. I'm going to show you, right? Look at my history because I click on them sometimes to see what bullshit they're coming with next. They send them to me often. These entitled videos, like I'm some sort of entitled, spoiled, whatever. I'm hearing noise outside now. Look, entitled 21-year-old thinks she can throw rocks at police without blah, blah, blah. You know, constantly like these people that are entitled and feels like they can do stuff to police, whatever they want. Entitled couple goes nuts when confronted by police. Now, mind you, it's from different channels. So it's not like I'm subscribed to one channel that constantly posts these entitled videos. They're purposely throwing these in my newsfeed with shadow networking. Look at this. Do you see that first one that says entitled 21-year-old thinks she can throw rocks at police without whatever? You see underneath that it says body cam leak? That's the channel it's from. This one with the interracial couple, which that's also sensitization, by the way, y'all. Remember, they like to sensitize me to race. Look underneath the title where it says entitled couple goes nuts when confronted by police. You see it's from Police Insider. That's the channel that posted it. So they're literally sending me these videos in my newsfeed, in my recommended with the AI shadow networking software. From different channels, y'all. It's not even from the same like YouTube channel that I'm subscribed to that just has a theme of posting that type of video. Nope. They're throwing that at me. The one that I'm about to cover right now, I need to blow my nose, y'all. I'm sorry. With this lady that looks rabid is from Body Cam Watch. Another channel, a whole different channel. So 3 different channels talking about this entitled thing, and they keep throwing this type of stuff at me. I have more. I can find more and show you. Hold on. I watch so much stuff, y'all. You know, it's thrown skewed out throughout my history. And I don't always click on it either. I'm sure if I go to my news feed right now, I can find one of those entitled videos for you. They send it all the time. Look at this. Entitled woman ignores police and learns the hard way. This is from EWU Body Cam, right? Another whole different channel, right? Let's see. Look at this. Entitled woman thinks she can flee traffic stop without consequences. Police watch. It's all about some sort of entitled somebody. And if you look at the video, most of these people seem bougie and stuck up and like they're above the law and like they don't respect law enforcement, right? Anyway, I'm not going to keep looking. You can see they constantly keep with the shadow networking sending that to me, right? So anyways, with this one, we're going to cover this one, right? I'm not going to click on the video. You can check it out if you want. You see the title, right? It's from Body Cam Watch. It says, entitled woman speeding to work ends in the worst way possible. So I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what's happening in this video, because I'm trying to hurry up and get through this and break down this stupid narrative and how what they're throwing at me doesn't relate to my situation at all. And again, mockery, painting a false narrative, and somehow showing you how they're able to obscure things and paint these false narratives and try to connect things that don't connect. You know, just showing you how they do this, right? So in this video, this girl here, right? She graduated from school. She's in grad school or whatever. She's in law school. And she's also doing an internship. So she's working for this law firm. Whatever her position is, it's like an internship for her. She constantly keeps going late, right? And so this time where the police are trying to pull her over, she was late again and she was threatened to be fired from their internship if she were late again. If she came, I'm sorry, I'm using poor grammar. I'm stammering because they're starting to bark the dog. If she came late again, right? So she's speeding, and right before she gets to work, the police stop her. You know, like they start to do their sirens behind her. So she gets to their turn for her job. They're telling her to pull over right there. She tells them, I'm going to go into the parking lot. She decides to go into the parking lot, parks up. You know, they walk up to her, and of course now they're being a little bit more stern with her. You can hear how they're talking to her. It's nothing like that officer that approached me in Indiana that I talked about in my part 3. Let me see what it's called. Hold on, let me go. Because I'm going to tell you the key differences here. How they keep trying to relate things that are completely different, right? I'm going to break it down. Hold on. Wait. I need to blow my nose, y'all. Let me go blow my nose. I'm sorry. Give me 1 minute, y'all. I'm going to go blow my nose. Okay, let me hurry up and finish now. Sorry, I had to go blow my nose because I'm here trying to, rush through this video, and I'm already feeling like I'm talking super fast, and then I can tell I sound nasally. So I was like, let me just blow my nose real quick. Anyway, so she's in the parking lot, right? And again, y'all can check this video out if you want. Oh, what I was supposed to be doing was showing y'all where I talked about, those of you that have been following me, I'm sure familiar with what I'm talking about. The other thing that made my targeting go viral when I was in the mainland. Remember in 2022, I tried to relocate off island, right? I was a teacher. I was a security guard. I resigned from those 2 jobs and I left in 2022 because the targeting had amped up on island. Did not know I was a target, but I knew something weird was happening because of the text message I sent. And I felt like it was just a spiteful type of thing that was happening that was being taken too far. So I tried to relocate to Indiana. En route to Indiana, took a Greyhound bus. I want to say state before I got to Indiana in Tennessee, I realized the thing followed me. I talked about this. This is where I was going. I was trying to show you guys where I talked about this stuff. Not only in my full story, because I talked about it in detail there too, but specifically what I'm mentioning now where things went viral for me. I talked about it in this part 3. Was it the part 3 or was it the part 1? No, it's the part 1. I talked about it in the part 1 gaslighting and programming of the targeted individual video. You see the thumbnail says your mind is programmable and it's 2 hours and 17 minutes. Talked about it here and I talked about it in my full story. So if you want the complete details about that, check out those videos. I'm just giving you a quick water down here, y'all, just to refresh your memory for those of you that saw it already. And for those of you that didn't, just so you can have a brief idea of what happened, the gist of it. So anyways, so in Tennessee, for the Greyhound bus in Tennessee, when I got on the Greyhound bus in Tennessee, remember I made several stops. I took a Greyhound bus all the way up from Florida to Indiana because it was cheaper than catching a plane, which I kind of just wish I had caught a plane. I wish I had just scooped it out my pocket and caught the plane because I think that would have prevented my targeting from going viral, right? Anyways, when I was in the Greyhound station in Tennessee, remember I told you guys I was sitting on my suitcase. I didn't realize the thing had followed me. I even ate a hamburger. I started to nod off on my suitcase. Came to from nodding off. I was exhausted from days of traveling. And this Rasta guy, heavyset Rasta guy, walked by me. He looked at me in this strange predatorial way, right? And he had this bird chirping sound, the same generic bird chirping sound that you hear from the bird drones. So I assume he probably had a drone in his bag, or he had it playing off of something that was in his bag. He walked by me, looked at me in a predatorial way, and I heard that same bird chirping sound I had been hearing before I left island. I hadn't learned about the drones yet, y'all. I didn't even know I was a target, but I had recognized at this point that they use bird sounds. I did realize that at this point, what they were doing to me on island. So he walked by me and I heard that sound, and that was when I realized the thing had followed me. And so I remembered having like this panic type response. And when I went on the Greyhound bus, I felt like everyone was watching me because I recall that was what was happening before I left island. Somehow they had, I didn't know about the insect drones and the fact that they came in your car and followed you everywhere. And this is how they were able to see everything you were doing in every place that you went. I didn't understand it yet. But I did recall that before leaving island, I had discovered I was being watched on camera. And somehow they were seeing me even in strange places like the gas station, etc. I didn't know how they were doing it. So once I realized that the thing followed me, when I went to sit on the Greyhound bus in Tennessee, I was feeling like everyone was watching me and like everyone was involved. So I started to act like a bitch. Not like I was cussing at anybody. I didn't put my hands on anybody. I did nothing like that, just acting scornful. There was a man sitting to the left of me and a homeless man sitting in the seats to the right of me on the Greyhound bus. I started acting scornful on purpose. He was coughing, the whole Greyhound journey, all the Greyhound buses, people were coughing and I wasn't acting like a scornful bitch. But here on this bus in particular, I was acting like a scornful bitch. I was even taking my Lysol and spraying my legs and just acting like a bitch, man, on purpose because I felt like everyone was involved. That moment, of course, they took it like they do. Remember, I told you they take these live videos, that this live stream, however they're live streaming it to everyone around you, and they record certain moments. So moments that they can use to propel your targeting. Hear the plane flying by as I'm saying this, right? Listen. You're probably not going to be able to hear it with the grass cutting outside. So let me just finish. Anyway, they record certain moments and they use it to propel your targeting. So they took that moment and that was the initial thing that amped up my targeting. When I got to Indiana, everything was different. You know, I had been in different states catching Greyhound, and I'm sure I was being followed and watching. I had no clue. When I got to Indiana, it was blatantly obvious that my thing had went viral because everyone around me seemed to be involved. You know, it was obvious I was being followed. People were being very nasty and mean to me, obviously because of what they saw on the Greyhound bus without knowing the backdrop story. You know, and that's what created all these civilians stalking me on the roads when I got my rental. You know, this crazy thing where I was being stalked for days. You have to understand it was a good, I want to say almost 3 weeks of stalking before I had that interaction with the police officer that made the targeting go even more viral, right? So I'm already paranoid because I'm dealing with all these people stalking me and I had never experienced anything that intense in my life. Before I left Island, people were following me and stalking me. I told you the thing amped up. But you have to understand here in Indiana, this is a larger environment, more people involved. They were aggressively following me. You know how like the freeway is full of cars? Imagine all the cars on the freeway following you and you know, somehow interacting with you and knowing what's going on in your vehicle. You know what I mean? It was just like I was thrown into this crazy thing when the thing instantaneously went viral from that one moment on the Greyhound bus. So understand it was days and days and actually weeks of me dealing with that. In addition to the people in my close circle calling and warning me about it being a sundown state and be careful, you know, this is one of those states where you could end up hanging from a tree, you know, that type of stuff that made me paranoid even more. And then it's getting close to evening time. You know, I'm leaving this small town. I only dipped in to get gas and this officer pulls me over, right? And what happened is I was in the wrong. I've always acknowledged that. It's not like I ever didn't acknowledge that. I was in the wrong, right? What happened is it was this light that serves as a stop sign that I wasn't really familiar with. I hadn't dealt with that before, right? And I have lived in the States for years. I hadn't encountered that before. If I did, I didn't realize it, right? But it was this blinking stoplight. So basically it was like a stoplight, like, you know, a stop sign. Excuse me, not a stop sign, like a stoplight. You know how you have the three yellow strips and it has the green, the red, and the yellow. 3 of them, right? A real like a traffic stoplight is what it looked like. But it was blinking on and off. And the only color showing was yellow, right? Red, excuse me, not yellow, red. The only colors that were showing was red, and it was blinking on and off. So I stopped briefly, you know, I'm not seeing lights like it's an actual light, you know, so I stopped briefly, and then I rolled through. It's kind of like a rolling stop, like when you get to a stop sign, because from what the officer told me, that light was supposed to serve as a stop sign. That's the equivalent of a stop sign, that light there, and I didn't totally stop. You know, I came to like what would be called a rolling stop. You know, I was just trying to get out of the town. I didn't want to linger in little towns. I was paranoid. I was being stalked. You know, I had the people in my ear, in my close circle warning me about certain things. I was trying to get in and get out. I went to get gas and I was trying to get out and it was getting late too, right? So I'm driving through and the light's blinking. I'm like, okay, let me just do a quick stop. I didn't see any cars nearby, you know, surprisingly, because I was being stalked like crazy. I stopped and then I rolled through. I didn't come to a full stop. It was like a rolling stop. You know, like when you get to a stop sign and you don't fully stop, like you kind of slow your car a little bit, but you don't come to a complete stop. It's called a rolling stop is what it's called. He gave me some big charge there too, just to be spiteful. When I looked at the ticket now, because my whole, by the way, Florida driver's license is completely null and void now because of me not paying that ticket. When I look at the charge he gave me, he didn't even put rolling stop. He put failure to maintain vehicle. Is what how do you put the charge that serious? He said failure to maintain vehicle. It wasn't a failure to maintain my vehicle. Was it what it was it like basically me running a stop sign is what it was. You would call that a rolling stop. That's what the ticket would be. But he gave me like the harshest charge he could give me for that crime, right? For not coming to a complete stop. He put it as failure to maintain vehicle. So of course me not paying that ticket, I never got to. I was struggling. Remember all last year I didn't even have a job. My license got suspended and they just canceled the whole thing. I couldn't even believe it because I'm a target. You know, you never would have a canceled license, especially if you don't have any points on your license or anything. You've never gotten in trouble before. Your license isn't going to get canceled for that. They would suspend it. They canceled my whole license because of my targeting, right? So anyways, I got through the light, right? Whatever happened, rolling stop that I did. I'm getting to the highway now. I'm basically halfway on the highway from this small town. I hear, woo, 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 you know, the big, like, high, escalated police sounds, you know, and I'm seeing the sirens and stuff, so I'm shitting bricks instantly. I'm like, oh shit, what is it? What did I do? I know I didn't do anything. I know I wasn't speeding. I'm like, oh shit, what is this? You know, I'm already on edge. Again, I reiterate, I was being stalked for days. So let's point out key differences now, right? So already there's a difference here, right? She's not on edge. She's speeding. I wasn't speeding. Let's point that out. She's speeding. I wasn't. She's speeding trying to get to work because she's always late to work. She's constantly going late. This is a good opportunity Obviously, it's an internship for law school. So she's speeding because she doesn't want to lose that job, and she's constantly going late. Her bad, right? So she's speeding, and this is why they're pulling her over. I wasn't speeding, right? What happened is I came to a rolling stop, and the officer saw me, and I'm sure he knew who I was, like everyone else that was stalking me, decided to pull me over. I'm not going to argue his reason for stopping me because I did come to a rolling stop. So that's not ever anything I'm going to argue. I'm certain he knew who I was. I think that's why he reacted like the way he did with me when he pulled me over. But again, he had a right to pull me over because I should have followed the rules and I shouldn't have come to a rolling stop. I've never dealt with that type of light before. I said that already, but I was in the wrong. I acknowledge that, and I have been acknowledged that. So again, this entitled thing they're trying to paint is already BS, right? Let's continue to knock it down. The officers that pulled her over, despite her not following orders, mind you, because she had reached a parking lot for her job, they tried to tell her to pull over right there. She still chose to drive all the way into the parking lot and park up instead of pulling over where they told her to pull over. They came out now, and it's escalated because she didn't listen to them. They're still talking nice to her. They come out the car, they're talking to her calm. They're telling her, listen, hey, you didn't stop when we told you to stop. She's calling. She rolls a window up on them, right? Instead of listening to what they have to say, they're talking to her calm despite her not following orders. She rolls the window up on them and says, hold on, I need to call my supervisor because she doesn't want to lose her job. So she's calling the supervisor. She rolled the windows up on the officers, calling the supervisor. So of course they're knocking like, this is serious. This is a traffic stop. You can't pause and call your supervisor. You already didn't even listen to us when we told you to stop at the entrance. You drove all the way in here. You didn't listen. Now you're rolling your window up and calling your supervisor and telling us to hold on. So this is where it starts getting escalated. They're knocking a little bit more rough now. They even open the door and she starts quarreling with them because they don't want to let her call the supervisor. They're still talking to the lady calm, right? The officer with me, right? As soon as he starts to escalate, and he's whoa, 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 big high, escalated thing where he have the sirens going and everything. I got Basity. Again, I want you to understand, this is another key difference. She was not being stalked for days. She wasn't targeted. She wasn't dealing with a high stress, PTSD-like experience. I was being stalked on the road for days by, I almost want to say thousands and thousands of cars. They're following me into the inns. They're following me to the hotels. They're outside of my hotel making noises, watching me on these cameras for days, for weeks. When I'm now being pulled over by this officer. So understand I'm already in a high stress type of mindset. This is a regular Sally Sue, whatever her name is, that's living her best life, going to a nice law school internship that she keeps being late to. And so she's deciding to now act entitled because she didn't want to get a ticket and be stopped from getting to work on time. So already it's different. I'm under high stress. I've been being stalked for days. She's not being stalked for days. She's a regular girl. Key difference. They keep throwing these regular people at me, right? And trying to show me their reaction versus mine. First of all, my reaction was way less intense than theirs, and I was being stalked for days, right? That's the key difference, right? So anyways, now the other key difference. These officers are still talking calm to her. She didn't follow orders and pull over exactly where they told her to pull over. Then she rolls the window up on them and decides to try to call her supervisor. They're still talking calm to the lady. This officer, as soon as he freaking pulled me over, right? I got so Basity. Remember I told you I was being stalked for days. That when he went to pull me over, remember this was right as I'm entering the highway. I started to pull over, right? And so I pulled over halfway. So instead of going all the way to the side, I pulled over halfway to the side and my car was a little bit in the road still because I was so nervous. I'd been being stalked for days. And then this officer is coming behind me, woo, 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 escalating the situation. I was shitting bricks. I was nervous. So I didn't pull over all the way like I should have. He opens his door. He said, hey, what are you doing? I keep trying to let y'all know this man was screaming to the top of his lungs off rip. Hey, what are you doing? Pull over to the side of the road. Where did you learn how to drive? You Florida people don't know how to drive. In my head, I'm like, how does he know I'm from Florida? Because I rented my car from Indiana. All of this is in my head and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is another person that's stalking me. I didn't know what the terms were called. I didn't know I was a target. I'm just shitting bricks as I'm thinking about all the conversations that had taken place in my car where I was being warned about this being a sundown state. I'm being stalked for days. I know I pissed these people off on the Greyhound bus, right? I'm shitting bricks. He's screaming at me from the gate as soon as he opened his door. So I was scared. So anyways, I pull over all the way. I follow his orders. I pull over all the way. He comes up to my window. You know, he's acting this kind of scruff, gruff way and talking to me rough. And so I gave him my ID. He went to his car and I called the people in my close circle. I knew my car was bugged at this point. Remember I told you I've been being stalked for days on the roads, and they were hearing somehow the conversations going on in my vehicle. I didn't know about Rev Campaign yet, but somehow I realized that every time certain things they didn't like was said, I would hear the vroom vroom, similar to what I was hearing before I left Island. Anytime I would go in the shower, the vroom vroom. I didn't know about Rev Campaign yet, but I was somewhat familiar with the sound. I didn't know what it was called. So I knew he could hear what was going on in my car. I knew my car was bugged. I didn't know the particulars. I didn't know about the insect drones, and I didn't know all of that other stuff, but I knew my car was bugged. I knew he could hear what was going on. So out of fear, I called the people in my close circle. I didn't say that to this man's face, like how some of these videos, they're showing these people being nasty and rude to police officers for no reason and say, I'm going to record you, I'm being disgusting. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was being very mannerful to him despite how he started off screaming at me. I called the people in my close circle while he was in his vehicle. So he shouldn't have known I was recording. The only reason he would know was because my car was illegally bugged. Anyway, I knew it was bugged. So I called the people in my close circle and I said, hey, this officer is screaming at me. I said, I'm about to record him. I said, I'm scared. I'm about to record him. And I said it on purpose because I knew my car was bugged and I knew he could hear me. And so when he came back, his whole demeanor changed. He was being so nice to me. He said, okay, hey, drive safe now. He told me run off whatever the citation was about, me running through that stoplight thing. Drive safe, get to where you're going safe, okay? He's talking to me so nice in comparison to what was just happening before I said I was going to record him. And I didn't say it to him again. I said it in the privacy of my car. Similar to Florida, where I wasn't saying the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda to anyone's face. I was sharing it spitefully in my car for the gang stalkers who were harassing and tormenting me to hear. And they took what I shared in the privacy of my car and used it to escalate my illegal targeting. Understand the brevity of the thing, right? So anyways, so after I left that situation with him, of course, now I'm full of adrenaline and I'm pumped up and I'm driving, I'm talking to people in my close circle on that level of adrenaline. And I'm just telling them, like, he was acting crazy with me, this and that, just talking to them about what was happening. I noticed after that interaction, this is when law enforcement got involved. This is when I started seeing droves and droves of police cars. This is when I started seeing helicopters. This was when law enforcement got hardcore involved in my targeting. It was no longer just civilian retribution. It was now law enforcement hardcore involved. I'm seeing ambulances, all of that. That was when that started, the helicopters, all of that, after that interaction with that police officer. Now they want to gaslight and send me people like her, right? Talking about how she's entitled because she's in law school and she feels like she's above the law. This is what they were saying in the video. Again, trying to paint it like I'm this bougie, entitled, spoiled, whatever, that feels like I'm above the law. I've always followed the law. I have never, ever disrespected law enforcement. I've never gotten in trouble. I've never been disrespectful towards law enforcement. So all these entitled videos, it's like such a false representation of what happened to me and who I really am. Even in that interaction with that officer where he was screaming at me, despite me in my car, telling the people in my close circle I was going to record him, I was respectful to him when he got to my car. I was very respectful. I was nothing like this lady or these people they keep sending at me, but this is what they do. It's mockery and they paint false narratives. They're very good at it. I was like, I got to break it down. It's just completely different. First of all, again, she wasn't under any stress-like situation like me, being stalked for days. Second of all, she's being disrespectful to law enforcement to their face. She was cussing them out. I didn't. Third of all, the officers dealing with her were very soft-spoken and gentle, and the one that pulled me over was screaming off rip. And I'm sure he already knew who I was and probably thought I was a bitch, and this is why he was reacting that way. Whatever the cause, he was screaming off rip. So it's a false narrative. And they keep trying to do this, and it's stupid, and I said I need to break it down. It's bullshit, and I'm going to break it down. So anyways, that's it, y'all. That's it. I'm done. I'll talk to y'all in the next one. I don't want the video to be too long, because they need to stop sending me stupidness and painting these false narratives and gaslighting. It's just constant gaslighting. I'm sick of it. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Peace out.